Okay, welcome back, America, to your Caribou Data Science channel. And what? Yes, a big shout out to the 10 folks who watched this video yesterday. Thank you so much. Of course, it would really be nice to get 10 likes for 10 views. So if you watched the video and find it helpful, I really appreciate you click that like button, okay? Of course, also subscribe, and very important to grow in our channel is the share button. Click on the share button. Share the video on Facebook and Twitter. You can also copy and paste the link into an email or text message. But again, a big shout out to the 10 folks who watched this video yesterday. And let's see this. Where are we? Okay, let's start with sort of some statistical type of information. Okay. Okay. So what you can see here, that this is the box plot for 2021 of U.S. cases. It's interesting to me how you had all these outliers over here. Okay. But on 2020, you had fewer outliers. That's kind of strange. I'm not quite sure what to make of that. Of course, that this is 25, this is 50. That means this is the interquartile range. This is median. The actual main body number stops right here. Okay. I'm not quite sure how to interpret that, but you know what I'm trying to say, right? Okay. So what we got here? So now we got this is just the distribution of cases of COVID-19 cases, 2020, 2020, and 2021. The dotted lines represent the plus and minus one standard deviation, and 70% of the data should fall within these two dashed lines. Green line is median, and the blue line and the red line is uh, is mean. Now it's interesting that it would appear, at least in this case, if the numbers are skewed to the right, which these are, then the mean is going to be to the right of the median. The mean is going to lead the median. I would describe this as a univariate or as a unimodal skewed to the right. I would describe both of these as unimodals. Again, you can see the plus or minus one deviation number, right? Okay, so let's take a look at this. Again, 2021 seems to have, or 2020 seems to have more outliers than 2020. Okay, this is slightly interesting because the median is actually for 2020 is actually ahead of 2021. Sort of interesting, huh? Again, 2020 has more outliers than 2020. This is slightly, you could say, it goes up and tails off back over here. So we'll take a look here and see exactly what the deaths. There we go. Okay, so this is COVID-19 deaths by year for the U.S. Again, you know the drill, right? The two dashed lines represent plus and minus one standard deviation. I would describe this as being unimodal, right skewed, and negative. Okay. Again, same over here. If you look at the numbers, it's a little bit different over here. Okay, so that takes care of the first part of our numbers. If you're into that type of distribution type data, there you go. So now let's take a look at our vaccination data for the U.S. Okay, if you look at the U.S. Total vaccination, this is the total number of doses administered. So far in the U.S., 411.9 million doses have been administered. And this is the total people who received one dose or been fully treated. So this means that 219.3 million people have received one dose, and 190.4 million have been fully vaccinated. If we take a look at the percentage of people at least one shot, that number is 66.1. Okay? The question isn't making a difference. And fully vaccinated rate is right around 57.1. Okay? So there you have our vaccination data for the U.S. for the previous week. Let's take a look at the final set of numbers for today. That is the actual daily COVID-19 numbers. And we just need to remind ourselves of a little curiosity of how COVID-19 cases and deaths are being recorded. And that is that for diseases like heart disease and cancer, okay, those are counted 1 year at a time. So every year on January 1st, heart disease and cancer is reset to 0. But yet COVID-19 cases were counting from January 2020, and COVID-19 deaths were counted from the very end of February 2020. Okay, which is sort of interesting, in my opinion. Okay, so anyway, what do we got here? So if you look over here, you see currently the U.S. is averaging 70.9, roughly 71,000 cases per day. Okay, which projects out to 25.9 million cases over the next 12 months, if that number doesn't change. Okay, we're currently averaging 1,220 deaths per day, which projects out to 445,000 deaths per year. If we look here, this is the current year's numbers, right? Long declining pattern all the way up until the first part of July. Then we saw this big increase here. Some people say this is Delta variant, but the question is, do we know that for a fact? Are we actually testing for the Delta variant? Okay. Then over here, you saw a declining pattern back down here again. So this is 100,000, so about 75,000 cases per day down to here. Okay. What about deaths? Well, we can look at deaths. Again, long declining pattern in July. And then in July, we saw an increase all the way back over to late September. And now we saw a few weeks when the numbers declined. Well, it's hard to tell what's going to go on over here. Okay. Now here's the thing. We can look. We just saw the distribution, so we know what the distribution of these numbers here. We know that towards the first half of the year and all the way up to like July, cases decreased. Then in July, we saw a speed bump for a few weeks, which now the numbers begin to fall down again. Okay. Same thing with deaths. We know what the distribution is now. The question is how many of these people are vaccinated and how many of these people died from Delta variant. Do we actually know that? Probably not. Anyway, so let's take a look at a few more plots here. This just gives us sort of an idea of the last 12 months, or actually not the last 12 months. This is your July to July number, okay? And so what we can see here is the numbers of there certainly is a season, okay? Talk about flu season. There certainly is a season to this disease. I mean, how can it go up in the fall and decline in the summer, and then go up in the fall a little bit here? Here's the question: is this going to be the only decline for the fall, or will there be another spike back up to here? That's the real question. That's the question. What about deaths? Is this going to be the full? Is this going to be the full fall increase, season increase, or is this really just the Delta variant? We haven't actually seen the big increase for the main line of the disease yet. What's this? This is quarterly numbers. You can see the third quarter of 2020 is a quarter with the third most cases so far, and the same story with the deaths. Third quarter of 2021 deaths is the third most so far. Now we can take a look over here, zoom in a little bit. Okay, so January 8th was still the single largest day for cases so far, over 303,000. Long declining pattern down to here, right? 29,422 down here. Then we had this increase up to here. Then sometime around September the 13th, the cases began to fall again. So for the last, say, 6 weeks, we had the cases that begin to decline again. The question is there going to be another spike as a result of the main line of disease, as it was last fall? And again, we can see this over here. Okay, we spiked back on August or January 20th to 4,441 deaths. As of October 23rd, that number had fallen to 427 deaths. Okay, let's just take a quick peek at some weekly numbers here. The big picture here, the long declining pattern. Then this over here. Is this or isn't this Delta variant? How many of these cases does Delta variant account for? Okay. The question again is this going to be it for the fall, or will we see another big spike up here in the fall and winter? Okay. COVID-19 deaths haven't really come back down from this bump here. Okay, that's a bit of a concern. Monthly cases, well, again, August, September are the worst so far. The good news is that October is below these 2 months. And the good news is that October's deaths are going to be below September's deaths also. Now, this is kind of a curious spot. The question we try to answer is, for every 100,000 people in the U.S., how many people have COVID-19? And right now, that number is about 22 to 25. Very rough estimate. What percentage of people are dying from COVID-19 right now? Well, this line, I would say right around one half of one person per 100,000 people, one half of a person's died from COVID-19. Not something the media wants to talk about. They don't want to talk about the low mortality rate as a part of the population. Now, this may be the closest thing we ever see in COVID-19, certainly this year. But even this you can still see is going up a little bit, and then the increase increases up here for cases. Same basic thing as in the deaths. This is not a flattened curve. It may be a gradual increase, but it's not a flattened curve. Then you can see the increases here, increases. Okay. So anyway, America, that concludes our report for today. Thanks so much for stopping by. A big shout out to the 10 folks who watched the video today. Don't forget to click the subscribe button, the like button. I really like to see more likes, okay? And finally, don't forget to click the share button and share this video on Facebook and Twitter today. Thanks so much, America. We'll see you tomorrow with an updated report.